Coming from a class that like every day is just really loud.
I know, right?
We're loud one day.
We'll get them back.
So, I have a quick question for you. How many of you guys have watched or know about this? As some might not know, this is mixed martial arts. So over the past couple weeks, I've been researching this. Well, I kind of know about it, but I wanted to know more in depth. Like I would just watch it, but I don't know if these guys would just fight each other, like fat guys versus other guys, like smaller guys. So then I kind of want to know if they have weight classes or they don't, or how they fight each other. So I kind of know about it because I'm involved in the sport. So today I want to discuss to you the history of martial arts, mixed martial arts, how fighters are pushed into weight classes to make it fair, and some well-known fighters in the sport of MMA. First, I would like to start with some history of mixed martial arts. This started way back in ancient Greece when the Greeks introduced pancreas. Pan equals all, kratos equals power. Back then, they would introduce this in the Olympic Games for Greece, and two fighters would go into the ring in like a 12 to 14 feet across arena, and they would go in there and fight each other until one was unconscious, or one rose his hand up in the air, meaning that he gave up. These fighters are very important because they were used by Alexander the Great in the invasion of India. He used these men because of their legendary skills of fighting. Pancratius were the first recorded form of mixed martial arts. But soon as the Roman Empire began to rise, these fighters began to decline. But later revived in the 19th century in Brazil by two men, George Gracie and Mitsuyo Maeda. Mitsuyo Maeda was a Japanese champion of judo. He had moved to Brazil. He was there to do some work for the Japanese government, and he met this man, George Gracie, which was also he was involved in the Brazilian government. And this man Mitsuyo Maeda agreed to teach George Gracie's younger son like what he had learned, because he was a champion of judo. So he agreed to teach his son. But after like 15 years, he moved back to Japan, and Gracie's younger son, Carlos, he taught his younger brothers, and they started a jiu-jitsu academy in Brazil. Well, after that, in 1993, George Gracie's grandchildren came to the United States and taught this fighting to the rest of the people. They worked hard enough to establish themselves on pay-per-view with Ultimate Fighting Championship in 1993. But in the beginning, it wasn't so successful due to the no rules and time limit. It was actually outlawed in many states, so pay-per-view dropped them. But they came back in 2001 with new rules and limits, and fighters were set into classes. And they were athletes that were conditioned and trained now. They weren't just any normal guy that came in and wanted to fight. So I've talked to you about the history. Next, I will want to show you how the weight classes are distributed. So this is how they're distributed. There's different weight classes. Lightweight, there's 116 to 125 pounds. Bantamweight, 126 to 135 pounds. Featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, and they all go all the way to heavyweight up to 265 pounds. They kind of created this to make it fair for then one guy that's 116 pounds won't fight a person that's 265 and get knocked out in 10 seconds. Finally, I will show you some well-known fighters in MMA. This is Junior Dos Santos. He's heavyweight champion. He knocked out Cain Velasquez, the champion, in 8 seconds in 1 round. This is Anderson Silva. He is the middleweight champion since 2006. This is Cain Velasquez. He was the ex-champion. He was knocked out in 8 seconds. He's pretty well known for that. And George St. Pierre. He's welterweight champion since 2007. Finally, Brock Lesnar, ex-heavyweight champion. So today, I have talked to you about the history of MMA, the weight classes of MMA, and some well-known fighters. Thank you.
All right, Eddie, the structural stuff in the speech is pretty good. I mean, you've got an attention device. I do think that you might want to introduce the video clip instead of just starting it, and you might pay attention to volume. Apparently the neighbors did. They were a little uptight about that. You have a thesis statement that you're going to be talking about. You give us a preview, which is pretty solid. There's a structure that we're able to follow, so all of those things are good. It did feel like you spent a lot of time talking about the one family, and I guess that's important because they appear to be the people who are most responsible for creating the roots of the sport as it exists today, although it was a little unclear how we got from their jiu-jitsu studios or training here in the U.S. to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The jump there was a little bit awkward. I think that could have been explained a little bit more clearly. We're trying to focus on presentation on this round of speeches, and I think that you've got a lot of things that you still need to work on. For instance, you are very script dependent. You're doing a lot of reading. You want to look around and talk to the audience a little bit more, and be at ease when you're talking to us. Look, you're talking about a subject that you're interested in. You've done the research. You know this. If you occasionally miss something or skip a point, that's less important than connecting with the audience. And I think that we lose that because you were reading so much and there's not enough variety in your voice. Where's that enthusiasm about? I'll bet you fought, you like some of these fighters. You've seen some of their fights. You're impressed with what's going on, but you're not getting the excitement in your voice. There needs to be a little bit more range of intensity when you're speaking. And when you read, there's a tendency not to do that. That's a problem there. Your gestures are a little bit limited. Your facial expressions also. Look, I'm not saying that you have to be some actor emoting up there on stage, but smile occasionally, shake your head in frustration. Again, just a little bit more engagement. I can see you're so focused on getting through this speech and less in talking about the topic and relating to the audience. It's, I got to get this done, and that it takes us out of the presentation. I think you project pretty well. You probably want to lose the hat too. I know it's people adorn themselves with their hats, and they sometimes say, I can't take this off. But you know what? You're giving a speech. You're standing up in front of an audience. Some people, not anybody in this room, might see that as being disrespectful. Not everybody, but like I said, some people might. So I think that you should probably anticipate that. Let's see. Look, like I said, the content I think was prepared pretty well. You had good information. When you got to the list of fighters at the end, and you mentioned the one fight, the one where the one guy got knocked out in 8 seconds, that's pretty dramatic. The guy was the champion. He gets knocked out in 8 seconds. What the heck happened there? Why was that so effective? what did the guy do? Was he one of those disciples of this studio, for instance? He just popped somebody in the side of the head with his shoulder. I don't, maybe a little description, a little bit involvement, something, like I said, get some emotion into the speech instead of looking at it so clinically. All right, thank you.